No, look around, look around, look around.
Creepy clowns. It's a phenomenon sweeping the country.
They're threatening schools on Long Island. The students here at this elementary school weren't allowed outside.
Chill, are you joking, dude? Are you joking? Stop. Dude, please tell me you're joking. Oh my God!
The year 2016. The reports to the police of the United States kept coming and coming. A clown was wandering the streets in Wisconsin. A woman was attacked by a clown in Ohio. Clowns were offering children money to lure them into the woods in South Carolina. The same reports were in Alabama, Georgia, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida, and many other states. Schools were closing. Several arrests were made. College students organized clown hunts, and a creepy-looking clown named Wrinkles, a local legend in Florida, was spotted a year before. It was a creepy clown hysteria, and not only in the United States. Dozens of clown episodes have been reported across Britain. In Australia, an axe-wielding clown was arrested after accosting a woman in her car. What was going on? I always thought that clowns supposed to be funny, bring you joy and entertain your kids at the birthday parties, right? But at the same time, they can be terrifying. There's even a name for it, Coulrophobia, the extreme fear of clowns. But this fear also attracts us. The film It is the highest-grossing horror movie of all time. So it's scary and entertaining, which is confusing. Why is that? Why are we so terrified and attracted to the clowns? What happened in 2016 that caused this creepy clown hysteria? And how did this nice, colorful, funny fella become the most terrifying monster in popular culture? October 31st, 2022. An auction house in Philadelphia, Material Culture, sold the painting Pogo the Clown for over $12,000. It was a spooky-themed dark shadow sale, and considering who the author of this picture was, it was spooky indeed. Pogo the Clown was one of the many works by John Wayne Gacy, or Killer Clown, the serial killer. He murdered at least 33 young men and boys in the 70s. At the same time, he was working as a clown at parties for young children. After this horrible story and the novel It by Stephen King, which was published in 1986, it was hard to think of a clown only as an entertainer with funny face, bright smile, and goofy laugh. But if you think that these were the reasons why clowns became so scary, you're wrong, because actually, they were never really good. Clowns have been a source of entertainment for centuries. However, the word clown came into use only around the 16th century. They were the court jesters in ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, or China. And it's hard to call what they were doing entertainment, at least how we understand it. They poked fun at kings and made people in high places uncomfortable. In medieval Europe, they were also far from being nice. They played tricks and pranked people. So yeah, basically you can say that clowns were the first pranksters in history. One of the earliest antecedents of the modern clown was Arlecchino, from the Italian Commedia dell'arte. Commedia dell'arte was a theater form that emerged in Italy. It was super popular in all of Europe, and troops were favored at courts, especially in France. Plays of the Commedia dell'arte were performed in the open air. Performances were based on basic plots, but with improvised dialogue. It allowed actors to make a comment on current politics or make a bawdy joke. Each stock character of the comedy had their own set of attributes, and the best known of these characters is Arlecchino, or Harlequin. He was a poor man dressed in a colorful diamond costume and had a mask speckled with warts or shaped like the face of a monkey, cat, or a pig. The actor playing the Arlecchino was often an acrobat or magician. Now, his origin is pretty interesting. He is probably derived from Alicino, a demon from Dante's Inferno, or another version, also not so better, from Helicon, a character from French Passion plays, also a demon. He was charged with driving damned souls into hell. Not so funny for a clown. But when we look at Arlecchino, there is not much similarity in his look with the clowns that we know now. I mean, white face, red nose, big feet, etc. The clowns we know today were invented by a man, Joseph Grimaldi. Joseph Grimaldi was a 19th century London pantomime player. In 1801, he first appeared with very unusual makeup and dressed in bizarre clothing. And for the public of that time, it was very unsettling. He wore a childlike costume which reminded the uniforms of schoolboys in the era of King George. Entirely white color covered every bit of visible flesh, even ears. Garish red lipstick on the mouth and red cheeks contrasted with the white face. It was super unusual, super weird, and nothing like Arlecchino. Grimaldi introduced to the public not just archetypical clown, but also the first modern clown. And in this case, I'm not just talking about makeup or costume, but also performance. Clowns mostly silent, so their performance usually includes acrobatic prowess, facial expressions, and of course pantomime. This was what Grimaldi performed, and there was a reason for that kind of performance. Pantomime was not only the most popular genre in Britain of that era, but also an effect of legal prohibition against dialogue. During the Regency era, there were only 3 stages in London that were permitted to speak dialogue. Elsewhere, pantomime ruled the day. What was great about pantomime was that it was free of government censors. So it had kind of a radicalism in itself. You could present material that subversively ridiculed authority figures. You could make a joke about social or official rituals. So the joke was like a clown itself, funny on the outside and dark and provocative on the inside. It was new, it was funny, it was provocative. So this form of clowning caught on fast. But Grimaldi's life demonstrates how humor and tragedy intertwined. He lived in hovels, attempted suicide, and joked with the phrase, "I am grim all day, but I make you laugh at night." Grimaldi drank himself to death in 1837. Memoirs of Joseph Grimaldi was published a year after his death. And this is when the myth of the sad clown was established, and the man who helped to shape this image was young Charles Dickens. Dickens sharpened the disparity and contrast between the artist's private life and the public image that he showed on stage. He was traumatized by his father, who also performed with him on stage. Dickens writes that once he fell upon his son and started to beat him. Everyone thought that it was just a joke and laughed. But it was real. Grimaldi suffered, he was depressed. His fellow actors feared that he would be unable to return on stage for the second act, but he always came back to perform. The show must go on. After Grimaldi's death, clowns became more of a tragic figure. For example, in 1893 Italian opera Pagliacci tells a story when the clown Canio murders his wife after finding out she is in love with another character. European circus clown later reached the United States. This is when he was transformed into hobo clown, or tramp. 1930s, the time of the Great Depression. The character Weary Willie started gaining popularity with circus audiences. He was performed by Ernest Kelly, and it was another, different kind of sad clown. During this period of time, people could identify themselves with Willie. They could even laugh about their hard situations in life. In a way, you can say that his performance gave them hope that they could outlast the bad times. So it's this kind of sad clown that gives you a comic relief to dramatic situations in life. It was a different sad clown that we know by Grimaldi. Did you notice that all these clowns, even though they were funny, differ from the clowns that we know from the kids' birthday party? In other words, how did this sad clown from the circus become a popular character for the kids? One word: television.
Introducing Bozo, the world's most famous clown!
The first televised Bozo program was aired in 1949. In the 50s, it became a common franchise across the United States. In the 60s, Bozo the Clown was a hit. At some point, the wait to appear in the studio audience stretched to 10 years. Bozo the Clown was the clown that you expect to see in the children's birthday parties, circus acts, comedy skits, cartoons, audience games. This was all in the show. And of course, its image. Red hair and nose, white face, colorful costume. This was the classic clown as we know it. Bozo was not the only clown on television. There were many others, not so popular, but still with audience. And they all could promise to entertain your kids. They were happy, funny and playful. And not only in the United States. For example, Oleg Popov, the most popular clown in the Soviet Union, toured Europe and Britain during the 50s and also toured the United States with the Moscow Circus. He was famous all over the world as a sunshine clown due to his happy personality. In 1863, on the wave of popularity Bozo the Clown, Ronald McDonald, the hamburger happy clown, debuted on television with its first commercial clip for McDonald's. Yeah, he didn't look as we used to. The now familiar costume and makeup were introduced later. But the message was clear: hamburgers and happy clowns. What else do you need to attract the attention of children and their parents? Thanks to television, clowns started to be associated with childhood entertainment. It was not a sad clown as it used to be. It was a happy face squirting water or fashioning balloon animals at children's parties. Now it was a character for the children to bring them happiness and joy. But then something went wrong. John Wayne Casey was working as a manager of 3 KFC in Waterloo, Iowa. Well liked in his community, he organized cultural gatherings and was active in political organizations. He also was working part-time as a party clown named Pogo in the 1970s. And he also was a serial killer. John Wayne Casey murdered at least 33 people. This is why he is also known as the Killer Clown. And this horrible story changed the way Americans would view clowns forever. Just like the media built this image of happy clown, they started to ruin it and build a new one. And in this case, it was not just a sad clown or happy clown. It was creepy and scary. The 1982 movie Poltergeist featured a scary clown doll that was definitely not funny at all. Stephen King's novel It, which was published in 1986, was pretty scary by itself. Not just for kids, but also for adults. But its first adaptation, a TV miniseries in 1990, solidified the clown's status as a figure to be feared. Because let's just all agree that this clown is like super creepy. I mean, how can you possibly not to think about clowns as a monster when you see that? And there were many other fictional clowns in pop culture that gave us the same creepy and scary feeling. So the answer to the question, why are we afraid of clowns, may lie in this association that pop up into our heads. We hear clowns, and the killer clowns from the movies just comes up. It's kind of hard to get past all that. But that's not so simple. There are actual psychological reasons why we fear clowns. First of all, clowns' appearance is just unnatural. We know that they are humans, but they don't quite look like normal human beings. That's what makes them uncanny. We see something familiar, but strange, which is unsettling. Their makeup is very weird. Oversized lips and eyebrows distort the face, cover it with white and red colors. So our brain receives mixed signals. It's human, but slightly off. And their bizarre costume with wig doesn't help either. Clown's makeup not only hides the person's identity, but also the person's feelings. We can't say what's on his mind behind this face paint, just like with the mask. Remember all these horror films? They usually include masks. This is our absolutely natural fear. We don't know what's hiding behind this. What's in his mind? We can't see the expression on his face, it's hiding emotional signals. This is scary and creepy. But in the case of clowns, it's even worse. The makeup can result in mixed signals. For example, he had a painted-on smile, but he is frowning. That's unnatural. There's this inherent mistrust that what they're presenting to you is not what they're actually feeling. And even worse, just like with any character from horror films with masks, you don't know what they'll do. Clown's behavior is highly unpredictable. Are they going to give you a balloon, or squirt water at you, show you a trick, or maybe something worse? And this throwing me back to clown sightings in 2016. Clowns in vans, clowns in woods, clowns chasing people or even commit crimes. It was a massive hysteria. It's hard to say who started all of this, but what's interesting is that not all reports about seeing clowns were actually true. Several people faced charges of making false reports of threats. In some cases, it was a teenager's prank or children's overactive imaginations. People's fears fed on one another. By 2016, in pop culture, there was already a general feeling that clowns are creepy. This trend created an association of them being something that you should fear. So, of course, if you see the clown on the street doing nothing, just standing, it will make you feel uncomfortable and scared. When it happened several times with several people, it became some sort of an urban legend. Creepy clown sightings are not new. In 1981, children in Brookline, Massachusetts, reported seeing clowns in vans who beckoned them with promises of candy. Police were trying to find these clowns, but no one was captured. The same waves of sightseeing recurred in 1985 and 1991. It caused a moderate hysteria, but again, no clown predators were ever found. These phantom clowns became urban legends of today, just like Bigfoot, Bloody Mary, or Chupacabra. These stories are spread by word of mouth, friend to friend. We need these stories because they offer us lessons and morals. For example, a warning about leaving your children with strangers. And this is why we're not just scared of them, but also attracted to them, because we like to learn about dangers in a safe way. So when we go to watch another scary clown movie, or not just clown actually, it teaches us how to avoid this horror in our life. It's our instinct. Urban legends tend to spread in dark times, times of anxiety and mistrust of official institutions and sources of information. This is why we need these stories. We're just trying to protect ourselves as much as we can.